Welcome to BD Daily Tech News Podcast, your daily briefing on tech and innovation. It's 2026, February 24th, and today's theme is AI is done auditioning. It's applying for full-time jobs inside banks, data centers, and your company's software stack.
AI is applying for full-time jobs. Great. Does it have references? Because the last agent I met couldn't even book a restaurant without starting a philosophical debate with OpenTable.
Today, we've got 3 stories. 1. The Federal Reserve talking about system-wide AI deployment across regional banks. 2. Meta teaming up with AMD in a massive AI chip deal, numbers big enough to make your electric bill sweat. 3. Anthropic pushing enterprise agents with plugins for finance, engineering, and design.
Money computers, power-hungry computers, and workplace computers. Love that for us. Let's start with the Fed, because nothing says fun tech podcast like monetary policy and machine learning having a sleepover.
Story 1 from Bloomberg. Fed Governor Christopher Waller says the central bank is moving toward a system-wide deployment of artificial intelligence across regional banks. Same news cycle also has Fed Governor Lisa Cook warning the Fed may not be able to counter AI-driven job loss if unemployment rises from adoption.
Wait, regional banks are getting AI at the Fed level? That's like your landlord installing smart plumbing that can predict leaks by listening to you shower. Helpful, but also, why are you listening?
Simple version of the tech, think of AI here less as a chatbot, more as pattern recognition software. It can scan huge volumes, transaction anomalies, liquidity signals, operational risk indicators, then flag what looks off. It's basically a very fast intern that never sleeps, but also sometimes confidently highlights the wrong spreadsheet cell.
So it's like Clippy, but for systemic risk. It looks like you're about to trigger a liquidity crunch. Would you like help ruining everyone's weekend?
Why it matters for normal people. When regulators and banks use AI broadly, you can get faster detection of fraud and instability. But you also get new failure modes, model drift, correlated errors, and automation bias. Humans trusting the model because it sounds certain.
Automation bias is real. If a screen says low risk in a fancy font, people act like it came down from a mountain on stone tablets.
Actionable takeaways. If you work in finance or fintech, start asking vendors for model governance details, evaluation cadence, audit logs, human override workflows, and how they handle data retention. If you're a consumer, turn on transaction alerts, use strong account security, and assume more decisions will be automated, so keep your personal records clean and documented.
The robots are reading the ledger, so you should read your own. Because if you ever have to dispute something, the AI did it is not a customer service option. Yet.
Story 2. Meta and AMD team up to take on Nvidia in a massive AI chip deal. One report says Meta could deploy up to 6 gigawatts of AMD chips for its data centers, and another notes a multi-year structure tied to a 160 million share warrant. Meta is clearly trying to secure supply and diversify compute.
6 gigawatts? That's not a we bought some servers number. That's a we are now in a committed relationship with the power grid number.
Simple version. AI training and inference love parallel compute. Tons of matrix math at once. Nvidia dominates because of hardware plus software ecosystems. Meta leaning into AMD is like choosing a different engine supplier for your airline. You're betting you can integrate, optimize, and not get grounded by part shortages.
And if you mess up the integration, you're flying a plane where the left engine speaks Nvidia and the right engine speaks AMD, and the pilot is an intern with the Slack channel.
Why it matters. First, competition can reduce single vendor dependency and eventually improve pricing and availability. Second, the constraint isn't just chips, it's energy, cooling, and site build-out. Up to 6 gigawatts signals that AI scale is colliding with infrastructure timelines, permitting, and electricity costs.
So the next big AI breakthrough is a transformer. Not the model. The thing on a pole that keeps your neighborhood from going dark when someone prompts, "Make me 400 logos."
Actionable angle for builders. If you're deploying AI at work, start designing for portability. Use abstraction layers, containerized workloads, and avoid model-serving setups that only run well on one vendor's stack. For everyone else, expect AI features to keep showing up in consumer apps because companies are locking in compute now to ship later.
Portability is also emotional. Don't get attached to one AI tool. It's 2026. Your favorite feature will be deprecated the moment you learn where it lives in the menu.
Story 3. Anthropic is expanding Claude into enterprise agents with plugins for finance, engineering, and design, positioning these agents as workflow doers, not just answerers. Bloomberg also notes this expansion comes after tools that raised questions about AI potentially rendering parts of businesses obsolete.
Yes, the classic upgrade path, from helpful coworker to quietly replaces 3 departments. Nothing says teamwork like a plugin called HR.
Simple version of the tech, an agent is a model plus tools. Instead of only generating text, it can call APIs, read docs, create tickets, draft spreadsheets, or run code within permissions. Imagine a smart assistant who not only suggests an email, but also checks the CRM, updates the record, and schedules the follow-up.
So it's like giving your intern admin access, which is either productivity heaven or the opening scene of a compliance training video.
Why it matters. This is a direct threat to point solution SaaS. If an agent can do the glue work across tools, some software gets commoditized. But the risk is also bigger. Data exposure, permission creep, and errors that propagate faster because the agent can act, not just talk.
Exactly. A chatbot hallucinating is annoying. An agent hallucinating is expensive. Like, I fired the wrong vendor and emailed the invoice to your ex. Expensive.
Actionable checklist if your company is evaluating agents. Start with least privilege permissions, require step-by-step approvals for money-moving actions, and log every tool call. Run red team tests on prompt injection because if your agent reads a document, that document can try to trick it into leaking secrets or doing the wrong action.
Also, can we normalize saying, no, the agent doesn't need access to everything? If your calendar is connected to your payroll system, that's not innovation. That's a cry for help.
Quick recap. The Fed is talking about AI as infrastructure across regional banks. Meta is securing massive non-Nvidia compute with AMD at a scale measured in gigawatts. And Anthropic is pushing enterprise agents that can operate tools, raising both productivity upside and governance risk.
Today's moral, AI isn't just a feature anymore. It's moving into the basement with the furnace and the breaker box. And once it's there, you don't notice it until something trips.
If you want one practical move after this episode, pick one AI system you rely on, at work or personally, and ask, what permissions does it have, what logs exist, and how do we roll it back if it's wrong? That's the difference between experimentation and operational reality.
And subscribe, because tomorrow we'll be back with more tech news and more ways to keep your life from being beta tested in production.